you're crying, will you ever shut up? So keep bleeding your fake blood till no one even sees that. If that's the best you can make up, at least act like you mean it. Give up the grudge, better shut your mouth. Why you gotta judge everybody but yourself? Take a look around you, there ain't nobody home. I may be a loser, but at least I'm not alone. Your Mercedes won't start, yeah, that's a crying shame. I guess 90K a year buys nothing but complaints. The people in my neighborhood think that I'm a threat. While the boss gets richer, they get deeper in debt. So keep bleeding your fake blood till no one even sees that. If that's the best you can make up, at least act like you mean it. Give up the grudge, better shut your mouth. Why you gotta judge everybody but yourself? Take a look around you, there ain't nobody home. I may be a loser, but at least I'm not alone. Give up the grudge, you better shut your mouth. Why you gotta judge everybody but yourself? Take a look around you, there ain't nobody home. I may be a loser, but at least I'm not alone. Give up the grudge, you better shut your mouth. Why you gotta judge everybody but yourself? Take a look around you, there ain't nobody home. I may be a loser, but at least I'm not alone. Give up the grudge, better shut your mouth. Why you gotta judge everybody but yourself? Take a look around you, there ain't nobody home. I may be a loser, but at least I'm not alone. Give up the grudge, better shut your mouth. Why you gotta judge everybody but yourself? Take a look around you, there ain't nobody home. I may be a loser, but at least I'm not alone. Give up the grudge, better shut your mouth. Why you gotta judge everybody but yourself? Take a look around you, there ain't nobody home. I may be a loser, but at least I'm not alone. Hear the sound of the falling rain coming down like an Armageddon flame. The shame, the ones who died without a name. Hear the dogs howling out of key to a hymn called faith and misery, and bleed the company lost the war at end. I beg to dream and differ from the hollow lies. This is the dawning of the rest of our lives on holiday. Hear the drum pounding out of time. Another protester has crossed the line to find the money's on the other side. Can I get another amen? There's a flag wrapped around a score of men. A gag, a plastic bag on a monument. I beg to dream and differ from the hollow lies. This is the dawning of the rest of our lives on holiday. Hey! Welcome to a new kind of tension all across the alien nation. Everything is meant to be okay. Don't be like dreams of tomorrow. We're not the ones who meant to follow. For that's enough to want you. I wanna be the minority. I don't need your authority. Down with the moral majority. 'Cause I wanna be the minority. I pledge allegiance to the underworld. One nation under dark, there of which I stand alone. A face in the crowd, a song against the mold. Without a doubt, singled out the only way I do. 'Cause I wanna be the minority. I don't need your authority. Down with the moral majority. 'Cause I wanna be the minority. Stepped out of the line, like a ship runs from the hood, marching out of time. To my open now, the only way I know. One light, one mind, flashing in the dark, blinded by the silence of 1,000 broken hearts. For crying out loud, she screamed under me, afraid for all. You are your side, 'cause I wanna be the minority. I don't need your authority. Down with the moral majority. 'Cause I wanna be the minority. One light, one mind, flashing in the dark, blinded by the silence of 1,000 broken hearts. For crying out loud, she screamed under me, afraid for all. You are your side, 'cause I wanna be the minority. I don't need your authority. Down with the moral majority. 'Cause I wanna be the minority. The minority. The minority. The minority. The minority. I just wanna raise your love. The Jesus of suburbia, the Bible love. None of the above, only steady dying of. Started popping riddle lad. Now I never died for my sins and hell. As far as I can tell, these are ones I got away with. And there's nothing wrong with me. This is how I'm supposed to be. In a land of negative, but don't believe in me. Get my television fixed. Sitting on my crucifix, I live in a room, on my private room, while the moms and brides away. To follow love and follow dad. To alcohol and cigarettes and Mary Jane. To keep me insane. Doing someone else's cocaine. And there's nothing wrong with me. This is how I'm supposed to be. In a Another turning point, a fork stuck in the road. Time grabs you by the wrist, directs you where to go. So make the best of this test and don't ask why. It's not a question but a lesson learned in time. It's something unpredictable, but in the end is right. I hope you had the time of your life. So take the photographs and still frames in your mind, hanging on a shelf in good health and good time. Tattoos and memories and dead skin on trial. For what it's worth, it was worth all the while. It's something unpredictable, but in the end is right. I hope you had the time of your life. Something unpredictable, but in the end it's right. I hope you had the time of your life. It's something unpredictable, but in the end is right. I hope you had the time of your life.
And so that's the thing. What do I do?
And there it is, the root of the majority of your problems.
But when seeing in any direction, if you will, what do you do? Feel like I'm quickly going down the road of another statistics where you read about these suicide rates of people, which I totally understand. This feeling of absolute uselessness, pointlessness in life. So I hope I don't get there, so I guess that's why I'm sending in this YouTube video to a YouTube magician.
You know, I started working on this video on Tuesday, and on Wednesday we had gotten word that my girlfriend's best friend that she grew up with, her son, 30 years old, had committed suicide. As I said, this can happen to anyone. This was a guy who had seemingly everything going for him, and a very strong guy at that too, Marine. It's very, very difficult to get out of that dark place, but those who do often find themselves in a position to help be the guiding light for others who are still in there. I started this channel to teach people about magic and the occult, the importance of mindset, etc. And I often get messages telling me how much I've helped them regain their hope, regain their purpose, got them out of a dark place, help them through the difficult time in their life. And that's really not what I set out to do, although it's given me the most fulfilling rewards by doing so. And I suspect that when you come through this, you're going to find yourself in a similar position at some point. But in order to get to that point to help others, you must first learn to help yourself.
I've got, I got this, started reading a little bit. I've got the Kabbalah book, Transformation, and I just, can't seem to do anything. I just feel like it just starts getting too airy-fairy for me, that I start leaving the ground and losing any groundedness, and that's what I'm looking for, probably, so that I can make a better decision. I can't be up in the clouds. I need to be here and now. Some practicality, some probably not, and as you can probably tell from the way I'm talking, my mind is just all over the place.
And I agree that you need to be more grounded. You can certainly use more of the element of earth, but more than that, you need the element of fire, as air and water are tending to dominate your chart. Thoughts and feelings, but no action and no tangible results. So you gotta add the fire. You gotta add the action. Air plus water plus fire equals earth. The solid results.
One last thing that I can think of, I got an astrology reading done by, if you're familiar with Jordan Maxwell, you probably are, through his services. You know, this guy gave me this chart the way he did it on his own. You know, you said, what's your Gemini and your Mars and your Venus? It looks like my Venus is in Pisces, Gemini, or Mars is in Gemini. I listened to the astrology reading and just nothing seemingly clicks. He talks about you gotta, you're good at the dragon's tail, but it can sting you back, which is in Libra for me. About Libra, the scales, maybe I'm always trying to balance it out, everything in my head, and that just keeps stinging me, and I need to pursue the dragon's head. Aries, fire, action.
Okay, so I don't know what type of chart you were given, but you notice that they've added the 13th constellation of Ophiuchus in there, which isn't a part of traditional astrology. And if you notice that the signs and the houses line up a little too perfectly, which never happens. At least I've never seen it. The odds would be like a gajillion to 1. Also in this chart, it's showing you as a Taurus ascendant and dominated by the element of earth. So I went ahead and plugged in your data as written at the top of this chart shown, which, by the way, I suspect is also inaccurate. The time of 5 p.m. is a little too precise. Not that it can't be, but, going by the numbers, you got a 1 in 60 shot. I almost never see anyone with precisely, exactly, on the hour birth times. A few, but it's not that common. So if you can look up your birth time, take the action, get a copy of your birth certificate or certificate of live birth, and see the time on there, that would be most helpful and provide the most accurate results instead of just ballparking it. Otherwise, we're going to have to go with the chart that I got from this data, which is completely different than what you're holding up. So I don't know what the F Jordan Maxwell's doing, but I think he owes you an apology and a refund. Surprised he doesn't have your midheaven conjunct the fixed star of David Icke in the sign of Alex Jones. Okay, maybe I do pick on him a bit.
And I seemingly don't know what the fire and action is. What do I even want anymore? So, thanks for listening.
And thank you for taking action and sending in the video question/ramble, and for taking the time to listen to my assessment. And we're not finished yet. This video is running a bit long, and so it's looking like I'm going to have to make this a 2-part video. We've heard all about George's problems, and when we come back, we're going to take a look at his chart and start working on the solutions.
Alright, so what you just saw was me I'm at CHIO right now, which is the Children's Hospital here in Ottawa, Canada, the capital of Canada, where our Prime Minister, Trudeau, is chilling in Parliament, probably getting his dick sucked by some fucking secretary. No, I don't know. He might be faithful to his first lady wife, whatever you call it here in Canada. I don't think we have a term for Prime Minister's wife, and I don't even think they have to get married. I know that's I don't know if they want to call that a Christian concept in the States. They always want the president to have a wife. That's why you have movies like, or TV shows like The Good Wife, who starts off as the president's wife, and their marriage sucks dick, and then they want to get divorced and separated, and, you know, she keeps playing the part that they're together. Not long after they break up or whatever, the president's no longer the president. I think something like that. I don't remember. My wife used to watch it. I watched it with her. I really liked law TV shows, because now the way they do their law cases are not always the way it works, probably in real law, but the ideas and the factual cases and some of the concepts are actual real concepts. Now you have to look it up after you watch the show if you think, hey, maybe this will work in my court case, and you'd have to, you know. But the best thing you can do if you have a court case and you're trying to beat something, the best thing you can do, number one thing you can do, I mean, look up laws, look up your rights, learn all this shit that I've been talking about, becoming a person, not becoming a person, being an individual, a sovereign being, all that shit. But in court, if there has been a case similar to yours or exactly like yours, which happens when a lawyer brings up to the judge, or even you bring up to the judge that in the case, Solomon versus the people, or Solomon versus the state, or Solomon versus whoever was the opposite person, okay, or the crown versus whoever, okay. In this case, this is what happened, what the person was suing this person for, or this person was on charges for this, and the case was overruled or judged in Solomon's favor because of this. So if you're a court case and you have the same circumstances, but the first, like I said, the first important thing you can do is find a case that has happened in history that is like yours, almost exactly like yours. And if you can say that the judge ruled in their favor, and the judge can see this case and read everything and why it was ruled in their favor, then your job after that is to either get your lawyer or yourself to prove that your situation is exactly like that situation. And then it's automatically in your favor. Because when a judge has already ruled, the judge is the judge. When you're in the courthouse, when you're having a court case, that judge is playing God, okay? He is taking, this is very clear in the law, that God is the highest authority, and since we can't directly talk to God, we have inherent rights from God, is what Christianity and the Bible is used, being that they have the authority of God to either put people who, you know, I mean, this comes down to persons and entities. Now, if you think you're the entity or the person, the corporation, let's say, on that paper, if you assume that your name, Corey LeBlanc, on a piece of paper is you, then they could throw Corey LeBlanc on that piece of paper in jail. And then technically, if you don't know any better, then you have to go to that jail too. But that all aside, if you disassociate with that, well, let's pretend like that's not an actual thing. So, but put that aside. Let's say you're not brave enough to try that, or you don't know how to do that, or you can't get a lawyer to help you with that, or whatever the case may be. You haven't gotten your record of live birth, and you haven't sent the Attorney General a statement saying, if you don't release, anyways, I forget, but I have episodes directly telling you how to do this and what the steps are. But anyways, all that aside, if you want to beat a court case, you got to find a court case that's like yours, exactly. It already happened, where a judge was playing God, and God ruled in the person's favor against the crown attorney, or against the defendant, or against whoever, whatever you're doing. And then the judge has to take that into account. And the only way to prove against you, because if you prove without a shadow of a doubt that your case is the same as that case, well, then how can God say in one circumstance that this person is innocent, and then in the same circumstance say you're guilty? They can't do that. It's impossible. Now, the crown is going to be trying to say, well, it's not the same circumstance because of this. So that would be your next job. After you find the case that resembles yours the most, you have to fine tune and get all the information that how your details are the same details as that, as your circumstances the same circumstances as that, and then critical think laterally on all the ways that that crown is going to try to go against you. the more the better. And you can say, well, you're being impulsive and you're overthinking all this shit and whatever, but when it comes to court, you don't know what that crown's got. You don't know if they're in good mood, bad mood. You don't know if they got laid in a while or bitchy or whatever the case is. So your best bet is just to assume they're going to throw everything at you. They're going to do everything in their power to pretend that your case is a different case. So the more ideas you come up with and you find ways to counter it, the better off you're going to be. You know, it comes down to this one thing, and I mean, there's exceptions to everything, so this isn't all-inclusive, and this is why, you know, you don't use absolutes and say 100%, it's always like this, and this is always the case, because nothing is. For every good, even if something is completely 99% good, there is a 1% bad chance, and that's your best case scenario. But most things are 50-50. But if you prepare for something, TV, okay, my TV died recently. Me and my wife always got the insurance for TVs, always bought insurance for TVs when we lease them, Leons, buy them out, whatever. Every time we get insurance, we never have to use the fucking insurance on the TV. And I shouldn't say this because I'm going to keep reaffirming it and making this thought form bigger. But when we have it purchased, when we're free from purchasing that fucking insurance, my TV popped. Fucking TV, we didn't even start paying for it. It was one of those things, don't pay for 18 months. Well, a month before we had to start paying for it, it's done. And we didn't buy the insurance because we never used insurance before. So this is the kind of thing I'm talking about. So once again, if you don't prepare for your court case, well, you're like, fuck, if I would have prepared, I probably could have beat it. Or I would have bet it. But if you prepare for it, it's like, well, fuck, I bet that, no problem. I mean, I didn't even have to prepare for it. It was so easy. I did all that work for nothing, but who cares? If you do all the work and then you get the judgment you want, it ain't for nothing. You're swaying it in your way. What you're doing is in your mind, you're going through all the ways that this could be. You're already having your court case, but you're doing it in your mind. And you're making it habitual, and you're playing in your head visualizations. You might even put emotion into it. So you're creating a thought form to make this thing go in your way. You'll walk in that court, and they'll be like, yeah, sorry, we already ruled in your favor. We don't even need you here because you already did it all in your mind. Now, once again, this isn't all-inclusive, and it won't always work in your favor, but I'm telling you right now, this is why that negative meditation thing in the morning works. You wake up, and after you do like whatever you're trying to manifest, and anything else, maybe a meditation and all that, say, okay, today I got to do this, and this, and the kids got to do this, and this has to be paid. Okay, so how and what can happen to ruin my day and make me all pissed off? And you go through all these scenarios without putting emotion into them, and then from there you realize, okay, well, if this happens, I can fix it by doing this. This happens, I can fix it by doing this. And then none of those things are going to happen in your day because you already resolved them technically in your head. It's a great thing to do. And I know a lot of people are like, well, don't think about negative stuff. And I'm all about that. You know, what you focus on expands. You know, what you give energy to grows, and you call it to you. You know what I mean? And so that's why I say, don't put the energy in it, which is the emotion. Don't put the action into it either. All you're doing in your head is thinking of, okay, well, let's say I have to pay this bill, and for some reason money comes out of my account, and I don't have enough money in the account. What can I do? Well, then you think, okay, well, what I'll do is I'll postpone the bill, blah, blah, blah. So there's no worries about that. Even if it happens, there's no worries. You don't put any emotion to it. You know, and then you can even say after, I banished that idea from even happening, and I accept that the money is in the account. I'm grateful that the money has been in my account, and that I have even more money in my account. I will leave for some more to be. That goes a long way. I haven't been doing my negative meditations in the morning, or brainstorming, like I said. But when I used to, towards the end, when I realized the power of banish, reject, deny, I started using that. And like I said, the few times that I did a negative brainstorming and a couple of those things happened, I mean, it was very small when it did happen. It's like, it's all right, babe, I already know what to do, and handled it. But for the majority of the time, especially at the end when I did banish, reject, deny, nothing ever happened. So, and there's a lot of power in that. That's how you can do mind magic right at the mental level every single day through your conscious mind, just by saying those things and then just letting them go. But I've went into that so many times that, you know, pick your choice of videos in the last probably like 4 months, and you know, every first or second one, every second one, I'm going to be talking about that, especially around April, May, June, July, August. Most likely you're going to get a lot. Maybe not so much September and October, but so anyways, I don't know why I'm talking about the court case and all that shit. I want to talk about something different, and I'm going to play something once again by you know who, Mystery School. I'm trying to pick videos that are very relevant and have really good information in it that, you know, maybe aren't the most popular, but, you know, but it's very hard because a lot of the videos are popular. But this one is Saturn return, and it's a very important concept to know. Once again, you know, the last video I made was the video I put on here that got me to stop being an armchair occultist. This video, I believe, is before that video. And it rang true to me, this video, because a few things. When I was 29 and 30 is whenever I got into magic. So I'm 34 now, and I'll be 35 next May. So it's going on very close to 5 years. Because like I said, I started this, I think when I was 29. And Saturn return, your first Saturn return happened somewhere between the ages 28, 29 to 30, 31, sometimes 32, depending on the person and where their birthday and all this shit is. But this happens for everybody at 30. And then the famous midlife crisis is somewhere around a little bit after 50. So what happens is, and this is according to Frater's information, and I think it's true, is, you know, so from your teen years, high school, and after high school, you start sowing the seeds for your life. You start planning. So if you went to college, and, you know, and I'm not saying college always works, but there is some people that get jobs after college. And, you know, maybe after college, you went to college for one thing, but then you got an opportunity because you were around people, because you had that motivation and that programming in your mind that you're going to succeed no matter what. So maybe you didn't necessarily get the job that you were going for, but you still got a job in a field that you like, or a career, and everything's working for you. Well, when your Saturn return comes around 30 and you're doing something you love, Saturn's gonna be like, fucking great job. You did what's up. You did something really good here, and, you know, here's some more fucking reward and benefit. You're gonna start getting promotions, and maybe it's time to have children if you're a woman or something like that, and you've been focusing on your career. So then Saturn, because, you know, you did so good for so long, Saturn's gonna hook you up and give you kids and all, whatever that case is. But if you haven't been doing anything, if you've been just working remedial job after remedial job, you know, maybe you had to. Maybe you had 4 kids like me, and you had to just work jobs to pay the rent. And that's all fine and dandy. So, and that's the thing, like, when my Saturn return came, I had my house, I had 1 car, and I was married, and I had 4 kids. I just had my 4th kid. And most people will say, well, that's success, you know, and that's some people's idea of success, is having a house and a car and a job, and then one day retiring. That's like what the picture of life is for a lot of people. And when my Saturn return came around, it's like, well, all these things are great, and I'm grateful I have them, but they didn't give me this lasting joy that I need. And, you know, I'm doing a job I really don't like, so what the fuck do I do? What is going on? And I can only imagine right now, with what's going on in the world, and people going through their Saturn return, the ones that haven't sown anything, this is why people, like, that are on drugs, that have been druggies, and on disability, that are faking it, not the people that actually need it. And same with welfare, the people that actually need welfare versus the people that are faking it, and maybe they're drug or alcoholics. If their Saturn return comes around, I mean, that's why the highest suicide rate is people from 30 to 33, because that's the first time Saturn comes around, which is one of the reasons why Saturn gets a bad rap. But all the Saturn return is doing is literally telling you, hey, you haven't done anything with your life, well, you're not going to get too many more chances, because as the years go on, it's going to get harder for you to do shit. So the best years and the easiest years of your life to probably do something, if you had the focus, are gone. But now you got a second chance. You're still young enough. You're still able to either lose weight, gain weight. You're still able to get in shape, or you know, anything. Train your mind, get a new career. You're still young enough to go back to school. So now is the time to kick your ass in gear. But then people, if they procrastinate or they feel hopeless or whatever the case is, they'll be like, oh no, there's no fucking way. And they off themselves. Saturn doesn't make them off themselves. Saturn kicks them in the ass and says, hey, it's time to get in gear. It's time to fucking go. It's time to fucking move. It's time to do some shit. Because you haven't been doing anything. And, you know, you don't get a life and get your soul and have this fucking soul, whatever desire, or you don't have this purpose for nothing. It's time to go find it. And I'm not going to lie, recently and before this, I mean, if it wasn't for me having children, my wife too, but mostly my children, you know, I've had thoughts of suicide, especially drugs, and with the drugs and all that. One of the reasons I started getting off drugs was around the age 28 or 29. Like I said, 7 years clean. I'm 34 right now, so that would put us at, what, 27 whenever I stopped using opiates? And that's very close to that 28 age, what they say, right? But I think my full Saturn return, the full energies, happened around 29 or 30 for me. And I mean, I think I'm still going through it, because I still know I need to do something. I still know I need to have a purpose and a passion. One of the reasons I create these videos, and I have my podcast, and I have a website, a Ceremonial Witchcraft, which is just nothing important, really. A few little video clips and a bunch of pictures and just explaining what I do and a couple links to my shows and all that. But one of the reasons I have this stuff is simply so that if something takes off, or when this takes off, people enjoy this and I start helping people, and maybe one day I am on a stage public speaking about magic, or maybe I make a little small school to help people in the flesh when COVID's done, or an online thing to help people. Hey, these are the steps I took because I lack a little bit of fire. You know, I have a great brain, a great intellect, I'm very smart, very good memory for memorizing anyways, and tell me where I left my keys and I'm not be able to find it. But it's hard sometimes for me to make a choice. You know, I'm very indecisive sometimes, and depolarizing myself sometimes made that worse, because before I had trouble making a choice, and that's when I cared about the outcome. And then when you stop caring about the outcome and you're already indecisive, it's like, well, it really doesn't matter, so just fucking pick it. I don't care. And that's not something your wife wants to hear. It's like, hey, where do you want to go eat and have our date tonight? Oh, I don't care. It's like, I don't care. Why don't you care, you know? And it's valid. I'm not saying that's not valid. That's a dick thing to say, and I've said things like that. So, you know what I mean? I don't doubt that I was an asshole to her. I very much was. So, but anyways, but I'm indecisive and lack fire. So if there's people like that out there, once again, that's where Thunder Wizard saying take action, take action, take action is actually bang on. And even in here, depending on the person, some people need to take action in that way. But other people, it's like, well, I can't meditate, but I have no problem going and doing whatever you say, but I just don't understand how to visualize and meditate. And it's like, well, take the action to sit down and be quiet and be by yourself and try this shit instead of just saying I can't do it because I've never been good at imagining things. It's like, well, never too late to start. Saturn's going to kick your ass at 30 and tell you, hey, you need to start doing something. So, and I think a lot of this has to do with programming too. So if you're programmed for a certain thing that you're supposed to attain, okay, then, you know, and I think that's where I'm different for some reason. And, you know, because I don't know if I was programmed to have a house and car and all that, but I knew it was what my wife wanted, so I wanted to attain it for her. Once I attained it, it's like, okay, all the fun's in attaining the thing, right? The endorphin release and the dopamine hits you get from whenever you're fucking chasing something that you're trying to get, whether it's something you want or something else wants. The fun is in the chase, just like life. We're all destined to just die. We don't get to take this shit with us. So really, and then we just restart again. So it's really all about the journey. It's all about right here, right now, what you're doing now. And if you're miserable doing a job and wait until 65 to be not miserable anymore, well, why would you think that when you turn 65 you no longer have to work, your life's not going to be miserable? If you don't have money, and if you don't have nothing to do and you're just sitting around the house watching TV all day, you think that's going to fulfill you? Like, I mean, no. Even traveling everywhere, traveling everywhere is going to be fun if you learn stuff and you get involved and do shit. But if you just go there and sit in a hotel and watch TV at night and then go to the beach during the day and sit there in the sun, it's like, it's not going to fulfill you either. But anyways, point is, what I was just trying to get into right just there was programming. If you're programmed to believe you want a house, a car, and all that, well, in your Saturn returns, you might feel a little bit of fulfilledness. But I saw it on my wife's face. She just turned 30. She turns 31 this January, and I saw it this year. You know, especially whenever she lost first promotion. She just got a promotion, so she's doing great, and that really helped. But prior to that, she was on the processing team, and she lost that, and we weren't doing well either. So it's like, okay, my man is having issues, and we're having issues. I'm married, and then I just lost the job title I got. Start doing. She had a hard time with it, and then, you know, she would try to throw herself into, and she's still doing it, by the way. But she throws herself into renovating the house because, okay, well, I own this house, and that's something that's important to me, and I'm proud of owning a house, and I really wanted to own a house, and I really wanted to own a car and have kids and be married. She's got all these accomplishments she put in her head, and as much as she likes being married and likes having the house and kids and all that, it's still not fulfilling. It's not like this thing, as soon as you reach it, you're done. As soon as you reach that level, you have to go to other levels to reach fulfillment. You know, it's like you first got to get to the house, to realize, okay, well, the house isn't completely fulfilling me. But until you get that, you're going to be like, no. Once I get the house, I'll be happy. Once I get here, I'll be happy. But it's not until you get there that you realize, okay, I was happy for a fucking week or a year, but now, not so much. And that's just the way it works. And I saw it in my wife's face at one point. It's like, okay, well, maybe when I get a better job, my job, I make more money, I'll be happy. And she just did that, and she's still going around renovating, so she can put pictures on Facebook to show all the work we did in the house, to show everybody, hey, look, I have a house. And it's not that she's trying to brag, but she's trying to get validation from people that, hey, you got it made, you got the good life, and you should be happy about that. And maybe if she feels that people are proud of her and she did everything right, that she'll feel that inside, looking outwards. You know, same reason why she wants to lose weight. She wants to lose weight because she wants to look good, and it's not necessarily to get a man. I hope not. And it's not because I want to lose weight. I think she's fucking beautiful and gorgeous the way she is, but she thinks if she looks a certain way, then she's gonna feel better inside. And even if she lost 50 pounds, well, she said, well, I lost 50 pounds, I probably lose 20 more. You know, once I lose that 50 pounds, I'll be happy. Once I'm a size 2, I'll be happy. Or maybe when I'm a size 0, I'll be happy. Or maybe whenever I fade away and die, I'll be happy. You know what I mean? That's how I felt. But anyways, but you know, I'm not a stranger to suicidal thoughts. I'm not a stranger to somebody who contemplated on committing suicide and writing pros and cons of it. I swear to God, that's how intellectual I am. I write pros and cons to suicide, and you know, I never would have done it, I don't think, but I had to explore it for a few reasons. One, to understand my dark side, my shadow side. I had to think about why would it be a good idea, and why would it be a bad idea for me to commit suicide. You know, and like I said, the main thing is my kids, to leave my kids without a parent and do all that damage to them not having daddy around. And you know, my daughter being as young as she is, I can see her arguing with my mom, like, or with my wife, saying, I want daddy, and she's sorry baby, daddy's not here anymore. You know, having that argument and feeling and seeing my daughter cry. You know what I mean? This is why every time I hear about another person, someone just died in my town, a young guy, a drummer in a band, he had 2 little fucking girls. I think about that, and it brings me to fucking tears, knowing that those little girls are going to be arguing with their mother about where's daddy, how come we can't talk to daddy? And it's like, you fucking selfish bastard. Like, how can you do that to your fucking kids? I understand feeling that hopelessness, though. I do. Life's hard, man. Life can be fucking hard. But you just made those 2 little girls' lives harder. You just made your wife's life harder. Like, how can you fucking do that? Oh, sorry. But seriously. So that stops me every time, you know. And today, like I said, I'm at this hospital right here, and I see all these, mostly women, but there are men, and there's couples, obviously. Then you see this family going in. And I mean, I don't know people's circumstances, right? The guy could be working, the mom could be a stay-at-home mom. And, you know, or the guy could be out of the picture and never bought her, you know, but mothers are more protective over their children. That's the way it is. That's why my wife's in there right now with my daughter, because there's only allowed one person in, and I'm here in the car. I'm still here, but I'm here in the car, right? And it's just, it's as big as you could think your problems are. You see these people walking in with their children, and, you know, some of them have mental handicaps, some of them have physical handicaps, some of them have both, some of them are terminally ill, these children. It's like, God, man, I'm so fucking blessed. I'm so fucking blessed and lucky. It's unbelievable. For everything I think I don't have, I have a whole fucking lot, you know, and I'm so fucking thankful and grateful to all these energies and gods and beings and everything and anything and all there is for the life I have. And I'm so thankful that I figured out how I can, you know, when I need to, change things. If someone gets sick, I can change it. If we have money issues, I can change it. If someone's having a hard time, I can change it. If we need something, we don't have the money or the means, I can change it. So grateful that I found this information. And it's because of, well, the man you're listening to, the man you're about to listen to, Frederick Xavier. I mean, I got a lot of gurus and people I listen to now. And, you know, Ralph Smart was a guy I listened to before Frederick. So it kind of led me to him and stuff like that. And I got a lot of good information. And he's the reason that I don't eat meat and stuff like that. But if it wasn't for this magical curriculum, I still might be in a pretty dark place. Because, like I said, I got 10 grand and the extra car and everything I wanted to manifest using the law of attraction. But, which was really magic. It was really just magic that I was doing. Explained it in a different way without, you know, all the real significance behind it. So, you know, I could still be doing that. I could arguably still be getting stuff magically. But, sorry, I got confused there. But I, holy fuck, that's my shit. But, oh yeah, sorry. But when I got the 10 grand, I mean, like I said, well, first of all, because I moved my financial set point, it went down to 5 grand. So I have to keep doing those money spells over and over and over again. And, you know, maybe that was fulfilling enough. Maybe that kept me busy that I needed that. But it's not a complete fulfillment. Even when you get the material gains that you get, it's not a complete fulfillment. And I think that's one of the reasons why T-Wiz, Lightning Liz, Thunder Wiz, Doji Mahadevad teaches action, and finding your soul purpose. Because what is going to be fulfilling without end is doing the thing that you're meant to do. When you say, well, it's not just another plateau that once you get there, you know, okay, I found my purpose and now I'm there and it's going to get boring and you need a new purpose. I don't think that's how the purpose works. I don't know if I have mine or not yet. I don't know if this is part of it or not. What I do know is, let's say I get a job. My career becomes teaching people on here or doing classes or seminars or whatever, on stage, whatever, something to that effect. Well, there's always going to be new people to teach, and there's always going to be hard cases and hard things that come through, and it's a changing atmosphere versus when you get the house and the car, you got to maintain a job to maintain those things that really don't give you fulfillment. It's a plateau. But whenever you do something that's fulfilling to you, if you like helping people, if you wanted to become an engineer and start creating inventions, well, there's always a new invention. So if inventing things is what gets you going, well, it's not like, okay, I made an invention and I'm rich now, so what? It's like, no, your passion is in making the inventions, and the money is the byproduct of you in creating these things. But you enjoy creating things, and these things are going to help people, whether it's make them more lazy or make them more intellectually smart, or make them be able to focus or do this shit. Whatever your invention is, the power is in you creating the invention, and you get your purpose out of creating the invention, and then you make money off of that, and that's your job. You know what I mean? So that's why finding your passion and purpose is the plateau that never plateaus. And that's how you know when you get things and they don't fulfill you. Well, that's how you know it's not your passion or purpose. You know what I mean? Because if you were to hit your passion and purpose, then you're not going to be satisfied. Sorry, you're going to be satisfied, but also never satisfied in the sense of like, fuck, I got the house and the car, and it's just like, well, what now? Like, I just gotta keep working this life to hold this, and this is supposed to be my happiness. Not in that sense, but you make an invention, accomplish the invention, and then after, okay, you don't make an invention again for a little bit. You just work on, you know, putting it out there, advertising, and, you know, maybe that satisfies you too. Maybe you realize you're good at that and whatever, and you have all these other things that keep you busy. Maybe you don't like the whole selling and advertising part as much as the inventing, but how do you enjoy the inventing? Well, you gotta not invent for a little bit and then inventing is special again. You know, the reason why here in Canada we love summer so much is because, well, winter kicks the shit out of us and it's cold as fuck. We gotta shovel snow and all that. And when summer comes, it's like, yes, oh, and we're shoveling snow and we're going out in fucking coats and all this other crap. In the same sense, you know, how do you appreciate winter? Well, when there's no fucking bugs around and bees and stuff that sting you, because, you know, everything's dead. There's no need for the bugs, like plant life and all that. Well, then there's no bugs around, so there's a few pros and cons, right? But you appreciate something. How do you appreciate love? Well, you go through shitty relationships before you find the great relationship, and then even within the great relationship, sometimes you have to have hard times and struggle through them, and then you realize, okay, well, that was a shitty time and that sucked, but because of it, now me and my wife are fucking closer than ever. So it's that pendulum swing. You go to the negative side, they go to the positive side. You go to the male side, you go to the female side. You know what I mean? You're always going back and forth. And that's one thing I always want to say, and I never really get to, but I got a whole video about how to get your pendulum to keep swinging and how to alter your mind so that you're always in the right pendulum side of the pendulum, because it's one of the Hermetic principles, right? The law of rhythm. But if you are poor right now, if you have no money, and, you know, it's been a while. Well, one thing, the best thing you can hold on to, first of all, gratitude is the best emotion for making money. But that being said, if you can be grateful in that moment and just look past it, not keep yourself in that bad, negative, fearful state that you're never going to get money. Because according to the law of rhythm, the pendulum swings in everything. The amount that you go to the left side, the swing to the left is equal to the swing to the right. So if you're already swung over to the poverty side, well, if you're as low as you can go, and you tell yourself, you know what, well, can only go up from here. You're going to get that thing to start swinging this way, and the amount that you went this way, you're going to go this way. You're going to have a great fucking time. You're going to start seeing yourself out of poverty. This is why in my one episode I talk about this was, if you're in poverty right now, don't go get a bunch of credit cards. Don't go get a bunch of fucking loans or whatever. If you got to take a payday loan to pay a bill, or your power's going to be cut off or something, okay, do it. If there's another way, whatever, but because then you're just going to fuck up your poverty swing, because then you're going to get enough money to pay off that debt, but then you might swing back. And you don't want that to be your you don't want that to be your pendulum swing. But if you can just change your focus for a little bit, it doesn't have to be all the time. And yes, you can still worry about bills from time to time, but do it maybe in a constructive way of trying to figure out what you can do to make things better, or whatever the case is. But just know that the pendulum swing isn't everything. Not only that, the only constant you can depend on, the only constant there is in life, the only thing that we can bank on is that nothing stays the same, that change is inevitable. And as within, so without. But in addition to change is constant, the pendulum swings in everything. And this is why change is constant, because it doesn't matter. You can be all the way to the left, and it's going to go to the right. So your political party is Republican, well, eventually it's going to go back to the Democrats, or liberal, conservative, or whatever the fuck the spectrum is. I don't vote. I let stupider minds. No, not stupider minds. That's not nice to say. My parents vote. I don't want my parents to do it, so sorry. But some people like politics. Some people like following it. To me, it's a big show. It's on TV. It's on the news. They even show you the fucking debates like it's a fucking hockey game. One team against the other team. Who can win? Back and forth, I mean, it's entertainment. To me, it just holds no weight. But anyways, the only constant is change, and that's because the pendulum swings and everything. So if you are poor right now, stop dwelling on those thoughts of being poor, and you will get your pendulum to move over faster. No matter what, it's going to change. No matter what, it's going to change. But the pendulum swings and everything. So this is the pendulum. You can't change the pendulum swing. You can't change that shit. What you can change is the down here. And down here is where the pendulum swing in your life. Think of it as your chart. Your chart you can't change. It is the way it is, okay? Well, with the pendulum swing, you can kind of change depending on where you're. So if you think about the pendulum swings and all things. So it's swinging in your love life, swinging in your financial life, swinging in your family life, it's swinging in your career life, it's swinging in everything. Every part of your fucking life. You're one of those houses around your chart, one of those signs, there's a pendulum swinging all those, okay? Just like every planet has a polarity. Every fucking sign has a polarity, and then signs like Gemini and Libra literally have it built in them. Libra is the scales, fair or good or evil, or like the old Egyptians, they'd weigh your heart against the feather, and if you had a heavy heart, well, the fucking negative force, that alligator looking fucking dude or whatever it was, it fucking ate you, or the good force would get you, and you had to go through a labyrinth before you even got there, which is a great fucking metaphor, by the way. I don't know if it's true or not, because I've never been Egyptian and died that I know of, but the point is, the pendulum swings in everything. So if you were looking at your financial situation, okay, this is where the set point thing comes in. Your financial set point is within your financial pendulum. So over here is on the, let's just use the right, okay, being good. So right on the right is your financial set point, meaning I make 20 grand a year, which is not enough to survive, not with my kids. I make 20 grand a year, and that's all I can get. So if I get 20 grand all at once, I'm going to lose a lot of that, which is why you need to up your financial set point. But 20 grand, well, let's go 50 grand, okay. 50 grand a year, and over here, and that's why, anyways. And then over here is poor, broke ass, no money in the negative. Let's say negative 50 fucking grand, right? Most people are in the middle, That's why they live paycheck to paycheck. They get to pay, they lose it. They spend it all. And sometimes they even go in debt. Besides that, then their pay has to bring them back to neutral. Oh, right. Sorry about that. My wife called me and said they were done at the dentist and they were coming out. Man, fuck, man, I never even paid for parking. We normally go in and we park by one of those parking gates, and then you gotta pay to get out. Only got parking in the front. That's normally always taken. And who knows, COVID, rainy day, whatever. There was cars not in that spot. A bunch of cars. There's a bunch of spots there, and this way you don't have to actually go through the gate. It's like so you can bring your wife to the door in case you're not staying or whatever the case, or you have kids that, you know, like I said, it's a hospital for kids. So, but anyways, parked there, started recording, forgot to go get the thing, and then my wife calls me done, so I never had to pay parking. I mean, it only went $13, but you know, save $13. Just saving $13. That's like 2 bags of milk and a bag of cheese strings. I mean, that's helpful. It's like about 4 days of milk and, you know, a week's worth of cheese strings for my youngest daughter. So, fuck, that's something. You know, all a little bit counts. But anyways, so I think I said, okay, we'll say 50 grand instead of the 20 grand was where I was at. I'm back at home in my hometown now, Cornwall, an hour away. So I just drove back, did a bunch of shit, made a couple candles for whatever. Got some fire burning outside at my outside altar. I got an altar outside my house. I got an altar room in my basement. I got an altar in my bedroom. It's like, I got altars everywhere. We practice everywhere. Now, technically, all my altars are supposed to be in my room, one in each direction. Technically, as you do the elemental grades, you get a new altar in that elemental spot. So, first elemental grade is of earth, and you know, generally your first one is in the east. So when you pass the neophyte grade, technically your altar is in the east, but my altar is in the center of my room, facing east, right? That's how it begins. Then, first elemental grade is put in the north for the elemental grade of earth. And then it would be, anyways. And then keep going, and you get the altars all around the room. So, you have one in the main one in the middle, and you have one in every direction after that. But, because I'm also a witch, I like to do shit outside. I know there's power in doing shit outside. So on my back deck right now, be able to see. If I zoom in, okay, you can't see that, can you? All right, so let's go on location here. I'm gonna do a little walkabout. All right, so I'm coming over here. So this is the area I was just showing you. Okay, and right there, you can see there's my pentagram. There's that my fucking bee. So this is the cup I made. I made this cup out of wood. That's out of a Christmas tree. I peeled the Christmas tree, took the wood, made it on the inside. That was my attempt to make like a moon there at the top. Didn't really work out well. Yeah, that's the color I made. But anyways, and see how my blade here is upwards. That's how they keep the power. And yeah, I got a fire going. That's of old wax and some blood on some tissues from when I shaved and cut myself, or I pop a pimple and it bleeds after. I wipe it off. I don't waste that shit. I take that blood that's on a rag or on a Kleenex and I keep it aside. And when I do a spell, I use this as an offering. You know, who says it has to be blood dripping right on your candle that you just slice an arm? Who says? Why can't it just be blood on Kleenex that you use? Wrap that Kleenex around your old pieces of wax that didn't completely burn. So, because you ask for something, you put a sigil on a candle or whatever, and then the candle is done. Most of that energy is up there, but there's still a piece of that still left here. So for that to manifest, what I do, everything they say you can't burn and bury, the ground will do the rest. So shooting stuff in the garbage will work, but it's in your house, and then it's in your garbage can outside, and then it goes in the dump truck that day, and then it gets to the landfill. Well, how long does it take to get put underground at the landfill? Is going to be how, and you're going to be like, fuck, it's been like 4 months, it still hasn't manifested yet. Well, because all your representations are in your garbage, you're just shooting them out. If you take the initiative and burn all the little bit of wax that's left, every last little bit, then you can find, and the things you can't burn that are metal or whatever the case is that won't burn, or glass that broke or something like that, bury that shit. Have a spot in your yard that you bury shit. And you'll see it manifest faster. Because that's why we put stuff. We don't burn the stuff anymore, although they do burn some things that you dump. But anyways, why am I talking about that? So talking about the pendulum swing, 50 grand, and how you control this thing. So you get 50 grand, and that's your set point. You can't get past that set point. That's what you make for a year. So technically, you divide that by how many months there is and how many weeks there is. And, you know, this is how I thought of it. This is how I logically thought of it. It may not be how this works, but that's how I logically thought of it. So, you know, tripling your set point, let's say, as an example, making candles and say, I'm so grateful that my, you know, my financial set point, my financial comfort level, my programmed financial earnings for 1 year has, I'm so grateful it has tripled, you know. Well, if it was 50 grand, well, now it's at 150,000, which means you divide that by the 12 months, and then you get how much per month you're allowed to have. You divide that by the 4 weeks in a month, or divide by 2 if it's bi-weekly you get paid, and whatever you minus your pay from whatever you have there, and that's how much money extra you can get a month. That will be your set point, and that's how you can tell if you've actually doubled or tripled your set point, if the magic has worked, and you can go through and whatever. Anyways, holy fuck, the leaves are blowing like crazy around here right now. But so once again, if that's what happens. Oh, I think my cup just fell because of the wind. Spirits are mad I put them on camera. Sorry guys, no harm. I'm just trying to teach you beautiful science. Ah, the wind just calmed down. Love it. See, trees aren't blowing as much now. My big tree right here to the right of me is a bunch of leaves everywhere all over the place. The tree to the right of me, still green as fuck in my yard. It's crazy the difference what a fence can do around a tree. But anyways, I don't know where I was going with that whole thing, but your pendulum swing. So basically, you know, you're allowed to make 50 grand a year, and then, you know, financially, you have that for your year. Your year, you're going to see there's going to be places in your year you're up, you're down. You're going to see that in your week. You're going to see that in your day. Everything breaks down to this. So you got a pendulum swing within the day where you're going to be happy and sad for your emotions, where, you know, whatever. This isn't everything. And I have a whole episode about this. I don't think I really need to get into this, although I think it's important to also revisit things that you made in the past, because even the person who taught you something, who, if they go over their information that they already taught, they're going to get new understandings and be able to relate it better and have new experiences. Because, you know, let's say I made that video a year ago. Well, a year ago, I didn't go through the things I just went through. So now, not only do I have my old experiences I can draw on, I have my new experiences I can draw on, and I can add to those lessons. That's why teachers get better with time. Like a teacher at school to an occult teacher, they get better with time. The older around, that's why the older ones are more experienced, unless they get lazy and stuck in their ways and just keep telling you to look at my old videos, which you should. But anyways, I can't remember where the fuck I was going with that whole pendulum thing and why I even got onto it. But that's the only constant in life. This has nothing to do with what I wanted to talk about today either. I just get into this big rant, and this is what I mean. Like, sometimes you can have a whole idea of what you want to talk about, and then you can end up talking about something else for like an hour. It doesn't even matter. It's crazy. But anyways, yeah, I was trying to figure out how I was going to tie the pendulum into the set point, and I have a few ideas in my head, but I can't see how that's what I was talking about earlier. I think your set point, though, like, if you go over your set point, well, that's the reason why something happens, you know. And then kickstarting the pendulum to go the opposite way is within you. I mean, it's a rhythm that happens regardless. It's always going to go back and forth. It kind of has to. That's the point of life. That's why depolarizing yourself is so important, because when your pendulum is all the way and you're an abundance of money, let's say, it's the time of the month where you get a lot of money, your spell came through, plus you got paid, got all this extra money, things are great. You can go and buy whatever you want, you don't have any stress like that, whatever. That's great. You're all happy, and then all of a sudden the opposite happens. So you're without the money for now, or you spent all the money and you have to wait till more money comes in. You have to do the spell and have to wait for the more money to come in. If you're not depolarized, you can get down on yourself and be upset. And the longer you're upset, the longer you're going to stay in that state. Now, it's not going to last forever, but the less you know this concept, the longer you can stay in that state. Some people can have bad luck for a while. This is where the nature of curses come in. If you're cursing yourself, saying stuff over and over again, you're putting yourself in that polarity. You're putting yourself on that part of the pendulum swing. And what ends up happening is, instead of your pendulum swing going from, okay, I'm broke now, but I know I'm going to get paid in 2 weeks, so there's no issue. You know, when people have that kind of idea, it's like, oh, it's too bad. We have no money. We got to do whatever for a few days. Luckily, we have hobbies, we have food in the house, and we have things to do. So we'll just do the things that don't cost money until we get our money back. Then their polarity, their pendulum swing is in a good state because it's okay, we got no money in the bank, but we're not in debt, and we got stuff in the house, and then boom, we got extra money, then we can do the extra fun things for a few days, and then, you know, we have to wait a few days till we get money, and then we got the money and we got no money. We got the money, we got no money. That's a good pendulum swing. To me, that's healthy, and that's how my life kind of works, right? And then you can have a better pendulum swing than that. Then is you get the money, you do a few things with your family, but not so much. You make sure everybody's got stuff and everybody's got hobbies and things they can do, and the extra money, instead of going out all the time, buying booze or dope, or buying clothes or shopping online, every time you have extra money, you, instead of saving it, you tend to spend it, but you keep putting it in the account. Well, then you change your pendulum swing. So now you're never going to zero money. You're going to, we have money, we buy the things we need, and then we put the money in the bank. And then next paycheck, we got money, we buy the things we need, and we put more money in the bank. Now your pendulum swing goes from, I have money in the bank when I'm broke, that I could use if I need to, but I'm not going to. And then, oh, I get paid, I get to do those things still. Or you can go below that point and then be on, your pendulum swing can be from, I got no money coming in, so I'm gonna go get credit, and I'm gonna spend the credit, and I'm gonna get overdraft. So you're allowed to go 800 negative. Boom, you're 800 negative, and you maxed out your credit cards. You get paid, you gotta put something on your credit card so they don't put you in the credit bureau, and your paycheck just gets you to a zero balance. And then you gotta go to negative every time, and then that becomes your pendulum swing. You see what I mean? So now your pendulum swing is way on, and I don't mean left as in bad or left is bad, but let's just say you're all the way on the left side now, going from the extreme left to not so extreme left, extreme left to not the extreme left. See, you're still changing. You still go from bad to not so bad, instead of going from not so bad to medium, or from medium to good, and then back to medium and good. You see what I mean? So there's this pendulum swing. You get to control the extremes, and when you're depolarized, well, because what happens is, if you think, okay, well, we got no money coming in, but, you know, things aren't so bad because there's things to do and whatever else. Well, if that's the way you think, then you're never going to go past that point. You're never going to say, okay, I need to get credit and go broke, and I need to do this and that, and I need to go steal and whatever, or get all depressed and go on drugs to get over it. You're not going to do that. If you're depolarized, it's like, well, yeah, we got no money right now, but we have all these other great things around the house, and look, we got a garage full of stuff we don't use. If we sell that, we can make money. If you have that kind of mindset, because you're depolarized, and you don't have an attachment to all those things in the garage, and, you know, shit like that, well, then you're going to bounce your swing back, because it's going to be like, well, you know, you did good, you passed the test. And you go back, and you go back, and you go back, and you go back. You know, that's the only constant. But you can have that shitty one I talked about earlier. Anyways, I have a video about this. Go look it out. I'm pretty sure it's right in the title, the pendulum swing, a lot of rhythm. It's older, but it's still a goodie. It's classic. It's one of the ceremonial witchcraft's best. Trust me, I know that guy. That guy's fucking awesome. Anyways, but in that same retrospect, that's the wrong one. In the same manner of thinking, along those same lines, what I was just thinking, when it comes to what I was just talking about, whenever you depolarize, you kind of know. And when you have this knowing that the pendulum swings and everything, and you don't let the extremes get to you. Sometimes when you're all positive, it can fuck you up too. You can think, you can start being worried. You can get so happy that everything's going so good that you start becoming fearful that it's going to go to shit again, which it will, because that's the nature of reality. But it's people that don't know it's going to come back. They want that for their whole life, and you can't think that the circumstance you have right now is how you want your whole life to be all the time in the same moment. You can't ever think like that. You can be that. You can have that interior emotional state and state of mind that your life is always going to be good no matter what happens outside of you. If you're strong inside, you can have that. But you can't say, well, as long as the outside's strong, I'm going to be strong inside. As soon as the outside changes, well, I don't want this outside to change. Well, it's going to change. Well, no. And then you get scared, and then obviously it changes, and then you're fucked up. And then you keep pushing your thing back. Well, that's another reason why, you know, knowing, here's another way to help for suicidal thoughts and stuff like that. If you are in a place like that, well, once again, now you know it's going to change. Your life is going to get better. It has no choice. You can make that change happen as soon as you want to, as soon as you're ready for it, as soon as you're ready to stop being addicted to those negative thoughts, and, you know, ready to give up that lifestyle of playing the victim and letting people pity you and all that. As soon as you're ready to change that, you can push your pendulum the other way. It's not going to be easy. Fuck no. Fuck no. And I don't know what you went through, and you might have been going through stuff worse than me, so, you know, I'm sorry if that happened to you, but you can change it. You can push the other way. And the one thing I know is that a matter, because even recently, even when all this shit happened with my wife, I had so many hard nights that I just couldn't sleep because I felt like I didn't know my wife of 11 years. Well, we've been married for 6, but this woman I fell in love with, that I projected all these ideals on, that she's perfect, she's a saint, and all this shit, which isn't true, and I shouldn't have done. But all these things I projected on her just came crashing down. You know, I'm always talking about deprogramming myself. Well, I just lost the programming in my mind that my wife is perfect, that my wife would never do these things. No matter what I do to her, she will never cheat on me, she will never do this. And in an instant, July 23rd, I lost all that within a matter of 5 minutes. I grabbed her phone, she freaked out, I knew something was wrong, I asked her if it was a guy, she tried to lie about it, and then she ended up telling me the truth, and she showed me the messages, and it was like, whoa! In a matter of 5 minutes, my whole life flipped upside down. But what I know, and what helps the pendulum go back and forth for me, is that change is the only constant. It's the only variable you can depend on. And that this is a test. Everything is a test. Everything I'm going through right now is a test. I had to break that programming that my wife is perfect, because no person's perfect. Even though I thought she was perfect, even though she wouldn't be into the stuff I'm into and she won't learn this stuff, it didn't matter to me because I thought she was damn near perfect. You know, I still believe she's kind of pretty perfect, but she's not absolutely perfect. So the point I'm trying to get at here is that no matter what happens in your life, especially if you've been through shit already, if you've been through the addictions and you've been through the losses, losing kids, God forbid, or partners, or loved ones, and money situations, and being on the street, if you survive through these terrible moments, and sometimes it doesn't have to be that extreme, because if you haven't been through bad things and then you suffer like a big loss and you lose your house and then you get divorced, okay, that's arguably not as bad as losing a child, but in the same sense, if that's the worst thing that's ever happened to you, it feels fucking terrible. It feels so hard. And you feel like, well, I should still be grateful because there's kids dying and I don't have a dying kid and all that. And yeah, you should be grateful that your kid's not dying, but you know, it doesn't make your suffering any less. But in the same sense, you can change it. You can change everything, and you can make sure stuff like that never happens again. Tragedy's still going to happen. Entropy's still going to happen. It's a part of life. Things die, decay, and then get renewed. You know, it's just a part of our fucking life. But if you've been through the worst shit that's ever happened to you, and you're still here, well, that means you're strong and you're powerful. And the reason that you haven't decided to just be a selfish person and let everybody else deal with the fact that you committed suicide and make your kids grow up with a parent asking, fucking them up and all that. If you didn't do that and you're still here, well, you've got something to give. You got something to give people. You're here for a reason. And you got to find that. You owe it to yourself. You owe it to everybody else that in the future that you're going to help. Whatever you've been through could be something that you can help teach. It might not even be your passion, but you might start talking about it and you might help other people. And then through helping other people, you might say, Saturn, when he comes back around, might be like, you know what? You did a hell of a job. Here's your passion. This is the thing you've been looking for. You weren't ready for it until just now. You know, I'm not sure if that's how it works or not. That came to me, so who knows? But anyways, I'm gonna play this video, a few clips from it. I might not play it in order. I might play like some parts first, some parts next, some parts whenever. You might even have already seen some of it right now. I might have played it right off the hop. I don't know. But yeah, listen to it. And I may come on after, but if not, I think the things I already said are pretty self-explanatory towards the video. And you know, I like using Frater's videos to kind of help me along, help me teach. But really, it's because I get inspiration from them. I get inspired when I watch his videos. This is me watching the Mystery School probably for like the 10th time. Going back through the videos. Right now I'm going through them backwards. From last to first, just to, you know, that's how you see progress. But anyways, you can see the progression when you watch it the other way, but you can see the progress he made when you go the opposite way. But anyways, so yeah, I can't guarantee I'm gonna be back on. I might just release this, and then if I want to keep talking about this shit, I'll make another video talking about it. Who the fuck knows? Who the fuck cares? I don't. All I know and all I care about is, yeah, when I make really long videos, my last one was like 2 hours, 30 minutes. I think it's got 2 views. So, you know, maybe I'm better off to just make the smaller videos because at least they get viewed by like 20 people on YouTube. But once again, every one of these videos I make I also upload it to my Spreaker, and it goes on. It ends up going on goes on one of my podcasts. So, you know, it's all good either way. So it gets heard, it gets seen. Like I said, I got 300 followers on fucking Spotify. I still don't believe how that is. I was like, how is that possible? And that's what I mean. So I'm like, okay, so if the followers on the Spreaker app say I have 6, and the views on my Spreaker app say I have like 1,500 downloads, I'm like, I thought that was from all the platforms. And it still could be, but if it was, then why would Spotify say I have 1,300 downloads with 300 followers, and then it tells me a different count of live views, which is like 200 or 300, just like the Spreaker one is 200 or 300, but you see what I mean? Like, it's crazy. So I'm guessing each platform is different. Anyways, I think it's fucking sick. And to everybody out there who's checked out my podcast and watches these videos, I really, from the bottom of my heart, am grateful, and I thank you. And I hope, if I've helped you in any way, shape, or form, I stated that wrong. I really hope if I've given you guys help and helped you in some way, then, you know, that's kind of what I wanted to do. Like, I initially wanted to be a voice out here to tell people that there is something to this magic shit, to causing change with conformity with your will. There's something to it, and I want to explain how I do it, just to help people. And initially it was just to help people do magic, but now I also want to, if someone's having a hard time with drugs, if someone's having a hard time with suicide, if someone's having a hard time with just life in general, keeping a mate or whatever, I want to help. And I might not be the best person to help about keeping a mate, granted all the things I just went through, but, you know, learn from my mistakes. Yeah, so if I don't come back on, I just wanted to say, once again, thank you to everybody who does check this out. And, you know, if you are having bad thoughts and hard thoughts, if you have parents, or especially if you have small children that won't understand, you know, like, where's daddy? And when mom says, you know, well, daddy's gone, and them freaking out, crying because they just miss you, you know, having that sadness in their heart. And I'm sorry to anybody who's lost anybody recently, and I make that worse for you, but just give that a hard thought, you know, before you decide to do that. And also know you're worth living. This is just a test. Whatever you're going through, I know it's hard, and I know people can be assholes. Sometimes it just seems like no one cares, but I care. I really do. Reach out, talk to me. I'll help you. I will. I promise. I will. I'll give you a shot. You know, it doesn't matter. And even if you're still in victim mode, or whatever the case is, it don't matter. If you're having those thoughts, and you have, you know, especially if you have small children, but even if you have small nieces or nephews, or your fucking parents, for God's sakes, you know how much they're gonna blame themselves? Like, just reach out, okay? Anyways, have a great fucking day.
Self-righteous suicide. I cry when angels deserve to die. Wake up! Grab brush and put a little makeup. I discuss the fade away. Why'd you leave the keys upon the table? Create another fable. You wanted to. Grab a brush and put a little makeup. You wanted to. I discuss the fade away, the shake up. You wanted to. self-righteous suicide. I cry when angels deserve to die. In my self-righteous suicide, I cry when angels deserve to die. Suicide. Why cry when angels deserve to die? You crying loud all the way across town. You've been searching for that someone that is beyond on the ground. As you sit around feeling sorry for yourself, well, don't get lonely now, and try your one eyes. I'm just moving for the moving scenes and more, but just a touch and so uptight you've been thinking about ditching me. No time that search the world around, 'cause you know where I'll be found when I come around. Well, I heard it all before, so don't knock down my door. I'm a loser and the user, so it's only no accuser to try and slag me down because I know you're right. So go do what you like, make sure you do it wise. You may find out that yourself that means nothing worth everything. You can't go forcing something if it's just not right. No time to search the world around, 'cause you know where I'll be found when I come around. No time to search the world around, 'cause you know where I'll be found when I come around. When I come around. When I come around. When I come around.
Then video questions for you, so here is mine. It'll probably be more of a ramble than a question, so I hope that it makes some sort of sense. If you listen to it, great. If not, well, whatever. I'm 30 years old. I still live with my parents, never had a girlfriend, still a virgin.
What did I get myself into? Well, I did ask for it, didn't I? Meet George. He is the first person to send in a video question. But as he stated, it's more of a ramble. An 8.5-minute ramble. Mainly on just how bad everything is for him. George has a lot of issues and has decided to test me right out of the gate. Now, I had originally hoped to get more than one video question in on a single video, but it's looking as if George is going to get an entire video to himself. Now, that's not an invitation to send in a 10 or even a 5-minute question. I am making an exception for George because, strangely enough, I identify with what he's going through, which we'll get into. But it's going to be a long one, so let's get into it.
I'm 30 years old. I still live with my parents, never had a girlfriend, still a virgin. But my issue is not, oh, I need to listen to some RSD Tyler and become a pickup artist or something, go pick up chicks and that is the solution. That is not what I feel is really bugging at me with life.
Well, it's part of it. Otherwise, you wouldn't have brought it up in your opening statement. I'm going to let you finish, but I'm going to have to pull a Kanye on you and stop you right there for a moment. Because the one thing that drives me absolutely nuts is people who ask for advice, but who aren't actually open to the advice. That the solution must fit their preconceived notions and ideas, which, if that worked, it wouldn't be an issue in the first place. Now, you may not resonate with RSD Tyler, and that's fine. He's got plenty of other people working for him. You can listen to RSD Todd. He's a little bit more introverted. The point is, the RSD guys know their stuff when it comes to women. I don't think you need to worry, though, about becoming a pickup artist. You would have to work many, many years to get to that level. And the truth is, I don't listen to RSD Tyler for the pickup stuff anyway. You may need to, but I do not. I listen to him because he talks about setting personal boundaries, creating core confidence from within, the importance of meditation, achieving a state of abundance. I could go on and on. That's what I'm listening to. And it's not a coincidence that the same skills and principles that have made him a successful pickup artist can also help you to achieve anything else you want in life. Go figure. I mean, the YouTube name that you've chosen for yourself to identify yourself is Forever Alone Feels. So it's got to be bugging you, man. I mean, we could do some magic to help remedy the problem, but again, action supports the magic, and magic supports the action. I don't know exactly why you're opposed to RSD, when from my perspective, what he's teaching is the fastest way to remedy that issue of yours. Perhaps you're coming from a white knight type of frame where all, PUAs are bad. And if that's the case, you got to understand that the Disney fairy tale that's told in movies and TV is just that. It's a fairy tale. And if by some random chance you did happen to have that fairy tale come true and get yourself a girlfriend, you're going to have the skills to hold on to her if you want to keep her. This is really the only thing I'm going to chastise you about, because not being open to that is putting a limitation, a very big limitation, on yourself, which can lead to another 30 years of being alone. But if you're cool with that, then, hey, that's your life. So let's see what else is bothering you.
It is ultimately this feeling of uselessness and feeling like I know that there's something I want to do and there's something that I know I need to do, but I'm just not sure what or where to even look or how to find out or anything like that. I feel like life has become completely meaningless. I feel like all of my motivation, drive, passion is completely gone. The only thing that I seemingly enjoy anymore, if you would even call it that, it's mostly catharsis, whatever, is to go outside to the park, sit under a tree, and just be alone. Just to recharge and recover.
So George is in a really, really dark place. Everything's meaningless. He feels useless. Life is not fun anymore. And there's no motivation there because everything's meaningless. And I've been there. And it's something I wouldn't wish on my worst enemy. It's a state of not caring more than you care. Now, I had different issues than you, but the place was the same. So I can relate to the state of not caring more than you care. Now, I had different issues than you, but the place was the same. So I can relate to that, and I know how that is. The feeling of numbness, that, heck, even getting angry is at least feeling something. It's like you're dead inside, which is also an indicator of emotional blockage. The feelings of joy cannot flow through you. You know, in my case, I had an accident at my job when I did work 9 to 5s, and I busted up my back really bad, was in constant pain, and could barely walk.
And feeling like I know that there's something I want to do and there's something that life has become completely meaningless. I feel like all of my motivation, drive, passion is completely gone. The only thing that I seemingly enjoy anymore, if you to the park, sit under a tree, and just be alone. Just to recharge and recover.
So George is in a really, really dark place. Everything's meaningless. He feels useless. Life is not fun anymore. And there's no motivation there because everything's meaningless. And I've been there. And it's something I wouldn't wish on my worst enemy. It's a state of not caring more than you care. Now, I had different issues than you, but the place was the same. So I can relate to that, and I know how that is. The feeling of numbness, that, heck, even getting angry is at least feeling something. It's like you're dead inside, which is also an indicator of emotional blockage. The feelings of joy cannot flow through you. You know, in my case, I had an accident at my job when I did work 9 to 5s, and I busted up my back really bad, was in constant pain, and could barely walk. I mean, it was a struggle to even take out the trash, and I had to go through years of physical therapy and chiropractic treatments, and couldn't do the same work that I did. I was about your age. And there's nothing like taking away a man's work and his purpose to bring on those feelings of uselessness and despair, because it makes you feel as if you are not a man. What is motivation tied to? Mars. Mars is masculine energy, that drive that keeps you on your purpose. Mars energy also seeks out the feminine energy. And if you take away one or both of those things, your purpose and or women, your Mars is not going to be satisfied. And you can easily start to feel as if everything is meaningless. No wonder you feel as if there's no point. I'm surprised it took this long, to be honest. And, I hate to say it, but R.S.D. Tyler teaches about being on your purpose, stepping up as a man. This is what's going to help build your confidence, is taking action, because Mars is tied to action. As I said, you don't have to listen to RSD, but we are going to have to change your mindset a bit. We're going to have to get you to focus not on what you don't have, but on the things that you do have. Because I got to tell you right now, you're not a bad-looking guy. You're a decent-looking guy in the prime of his life who simply has a bad case of inertia, who has been experiencing his Saturn return, which we're going to get into in a moment. But I want to give you some perspective in that I would trade everything that I have right now to swap places with you. Yes, you heard that right. I would trade it all to be 30 years old again, living at home with no girlfriend or prospects. Why? Because time is more valuable than money. It's the most valuable commodity we have. Knowing what I know now, I could get it all back within 5-6 years, and then some probably, and still have an extra 8 or 9 years left. To me, it would be like rolling back the clock. And you have no obligations. You have a clean slate to start from. How many of us can say that? You may not have a lot of money to fully utilize that clean slate at the moment, but it is doable. And we will get into that a bit down the road as well. The point is things aren't as bad as they seem, and I know that they seem really, really bad because I've been in that dark place. It is extremely difficult to get motivated under those circumstances, in that frame of mind. But what's at the very core of that feeling is your feelings about yourself. I know you're looking at all the circumstances around you, but it's you who feel like you have no meaning. It's you who you feel is useless. And it's you who are lacking the confidence and experience to handle it. And your Saturn return has come around full circle to give you a kick in the ass, as it does for everyone between the ages of 28 to 30. This is what has given you this sense of urgency, this wake-up call of, oh my God, what have I done with my life? I have to do something. That's what it does. Saturn is all about responsibility. It is the reaper, not so much the grim reaper of death, although that's part of it. But when Saturn comes around, it reaps what you have sown. And if you haven't sown anything, if you've just neglected your time and wasted it, that's what you're going to reap. And you're going to look around wondering why you don't have anything, and put this sense of urgency on your responsibilities. And it can also cut away that which you have been neglectful and irresponsible with, things that are holding you back. But if you are responsible, if you are on your purpose, if you have been sowing your seeds accordingly, when Saturn comes around, you're going to reap the rewards. I got into magic as a last resort from being in the place that you're in right now. And if it wasn't for magic, I don't know where I'd be, man. I really don't. I feel as if this path that I chose out of desperation was the thing that saved me. All of a sudden, things started to change for me. And I started to change. As within, so without. But that's what it took for me. Not only was I getting the results, but, I had a purpose again. A truer purpose than what I had to begin with. And I feel as if I had to go through that so that I could help people like you and relate to them. You can only really help people if you can relate to them. If you don't relate to what they're going through, then you're just wasting your time. But even though I can relate to that, I don't resonate with it anymore. I mean, how can I? I found my way out. There ain't no way in hell I'm going back in. And it's that which keeps me on my purpose and doing what I do. Because if I didn't, I would probably slip back into that as a default. And that's just simply part of my motivation now, is to make sure that that does not happen. As I said, I wouldn't wish that on my worst enemy. The darkest place you can be, in my experience and opinion. The other thing you need to realize is that it's not just you and your circumstances. It plays a part in it, but that's not it. This can happen to anyone. If it can happen to Robin Williams, who had everything going for him, it can happen to anyone. To this day, I still have back problems. I have my good days and I have my bad days. But I keep on keeping on. And there's a lot of people out there that are glad that I did, because now I'm in a position to help others. But to get there, I first had to help myself by getting myself out of that dark place. So just know that it can be done, that all is not lost. Now let's continue.
I had this very distinct anxiety when I was 21 for a while, almost waking up in a panic from sleep, knowing that there was something that I had to do, something I had to know or do or learn or this. So I have to hold on to that feeling that there was something, some sort of a purpose that I have. And I don't mean that in that I'm special or better than anyone else, or I want to pat myself on the back. Sort of, I was maybe incarnated for a certain mission to do, as silly as that feels to say.
Do you know what's worth fighting for when it's not worth dying for? Does it take your breath away and you feel yourself suffocating? Does the pain weigh out the pride? And you look for a place to hide. Did someone break your heart inside? You're in ruins. 121 guns. Lay down your arms. Give up the fight. 121 guns. Throw up your arms into the sky. You and I. When you're at the end of the road and you lost all sense of control, and your thoughts have taken their toll, when your mind breaks the spirit of your soul, your faith walks on broken glass, and the hangover doesn't pass. Nothing's ever built to last. You're in ruins. 121 guns. Lay down your arms. Give up the fight. 121 guns. Throw up your arms It's time to live and let die, and you can't get another try. Something inside this heart has died. You're in ruins. 121 guns. Lay down your arms and give up the fight. 121 guns. Throw up your arms into the sky. 121 guns. Lay down your arms and give up the fight. 121 guns. Throw up your arms into the sky. You and I.
Will circle to give you a kick in the ass, as it does for everyone between the ages of 28 to 30. This is what has given you this sense of urgency, this wake-up call of, oh my God, what have I done with my life? I have to do something. That's what it does. Saturn is all about responsibility. It is the reaper, not so much the grim reaper of death, although that's part of it. But when Saturn comes around, it reaps what you have sown. And if you haven't sown anything, if you've just neglected your time and wasted it, that's what you're going to reap. And you're going to look around wondering why you don't have anything, and put this sense of urgency on your responsibilities. And it can also cut away that which you have been neglectful and irresponsible with, things that are holding you back. But if you are responsible, if you are on your purpose, if you have been sowing your seeds accordingly, when Saturn comes around, you're going to reap the rewards. You know, I got into magic as a last resort from being in the place that you're in right now. And if it wasn't for magic, I don't know where I'd be, man. I really don't. I feel as if this path that I chose, things that are holding you back. But if you are responsible, you'll cut away that which you have been neglectful and irresponsible with, things that are holding you back. You'll cut away that which you have been neglectful and irresponsible with, things that are holding you back. But if you are responsible, if you are on your purpose, if you have been sowing your seeds accordingly, when Saturn comes around, you're going to reap the rewards. You know, I got into magic as a last resort from being in the place that you're in right now. And if it wasn't for magic, I don't know where I'd be, man. I really don't. I feel as if this path that I chose out of desperation was the thing that saved me. All of a sudden, things started to change for me. And I started to change. As within, so without. No, but that's what it took for me. Not only was I getting the results, but, I had a purpose again. A truer purpose than what I had to begin with. And I feel as if I had to go through that so that I could help people like you and relate to them. You can only really help people if you can relate to them. If you don't relate to what they're going through, then you're just wasting your time. But even though I can relate to that, I don't resonate with it anymore. I mean, how can I? I found my way out. Ain't no way in hell I'm going back in. And it's that which keeps me on my purpose and doing what I do. Because if I didn't, I would probably slip back into that as a default. And that's just simply part of my motivation now, is to make sure that that does not happen. As I said, I wouldn't wish that on my worst enemy. The darkest place you can be, in my experience and opinion. The other thing you need to realize is that it's not just you and your circumstances. It plays a part in it, but that's not it. This can happen to anyone. If it can happen to Robin Williams, who had everything going for him, it can happen to anyone. To this day, I still have back problems. I have my good days and I have my bad days. But I keep on keeping on. And there's a lot of people out there that are glad that I did, because now I'm in a position to help others. But to get there, I first had to help myself by getting myself out of that dark place. So just know that it can be done, that all is not lost. Now let's continue.
I had this very distinct anxiety when I was 21 for a while, almost waking up in a panic from sleep, knowing that there was something that I had to do, something I had to know or do or learn or this. So I have to hold on to that feeling that there was something, some sort of a purpose that I have. And I don't mean that in that I'm special or better than anyone else, or I want to pat myself on the back. Sort of, I was maybe incarnated for a certain mission to do, as silly as that feels to say, but that's just what it is. The big question now is, what is it? What is my general purpose at all? Just to give you a quick rundown of where I am in life right now, I'm originally from Ukraine. We moved here when I was about 8. You know, did the whole growing up thing like every other kid. Yeah, guaranteed I got more into video games, got fat and all that, but went to college. Didn't really care much. I got a bachelor's in computer science under this little naivety, maybe a little childhood fantasy. I wouldn't even say fantasy. Oh, maybe I'll make video games, but didn't really care. I graduated, and I thought to myself, well, I don't really know what I want to do. Well, I use the library, so I thought, well, how about a job in the library? Oh, it seems like you don't have to deal with people, whatever, so I got a job in the library, and that's where I've been for essentially the past 9.5 years, and I've moved up in some positions there, but ultimately, I feel nothing but pure apathy anymore.
Well, at least you feel that you have a purpose waiting for you out there somewhere, which is good. Sometimes our purpose finds us instead of the other way around. As I said, I had to go through that dark place myself in order to find mine. Or I should say, it found me. But for now, until you find it or it finds you, you may have to make finding your purpose, as hokey and cliche as that may sound. And you said you've experienced this anxiety around age 21, which is about the time of your Saturn square. See, Saturn takes that 28 years to get all the way around the chart. And so every 7 years, it's going to be aspecting your natal Saturn position and bring these feelings of responsibility to you. So that's of no surprise to me. You've also been experiencing it again, even stronger as of late. And at age 35 to 37, you're going to feel it again. And if you don't have a handle on it by 42 through 44, you think this one's bad, wait till you have transit Saturn opposed to your natal Saturn and transit Uranus opposed to your natal Uranus at the same time. The infamous midlife crisis. You're going to need to start sowing your seeds now.
There is no interest. You know, I got benefits, pay is okay, but ultimately, I just don't really care, and I'm not sure what I'm looking for. Is it another job? Is it a cause? Is it something? Maybe you've already sensed that I am definitely a polarized person, and that is part of my personality. There are certain viewpoints and beliefs and political views, if you will, that I have that are important to me. They didn't come overnight. They were discovered over a number of years, and that's who I am and what I believe in. So it is not possible for me to just be in the middle and not get bothered by anything. So I thought I would just say that. So,
Well, George, it comes down to how badly do you want things to change? Because everybody's polarized in different areas to certain degrees. That's normal, but people need to examine which polarizing beliefs are helping them and which are hindering them. Because a lot of times it comes down to the beliefs that we hold in our mind that end up holding us back. They're not serving us. Depolarization is very, very similar to the dark place that you're in right now, in the sense that you can have it one way or the other, so it doesn't really matter. Nothing really matters. It's just without all the feelings of hopeless despair and uselessness that come along with that. You could take things or leave them, and it won't really matter. You're better equipped to handle things when they go wrong. That's what depolarization is like. Things just kind of roll off your back. Because a lot of things don't really matter. You see people on Facebook arguing politics like the most polarized thing you can talk about. In the end, they just wasted their time, as if, the person's just going to suddenly change their mind on their entire political stance from a Facebook post. A lot of polarization is just a bunch of wasted time, in my opinion. It's really a tightrope walk. It's a fine balance. On one hand, I'm hopeful. I feel things have meaning. But in the end, does it really matter? When nobody gets out of this life alive, we're all going to the same place. We all have the same end. So, if that's the case, it's not really about the destination. It really is about the journey. And if you're too polarized, the journey's going to suck. You talk like you are, purposely avoiding people, being around others. When you're depolarized, those people don't really have that much of an effect on you. But when you're polarized, they can absolutely have an impact on you through magnetism, through polarized magnetism, attraction, repulsion, like, dislike. This YouTube video has a like and a dislike button. That is to cater to people's polarization. So you're not interested either in depolarizing yourself. Again, it would make things easier for you, but you kind of already have that feeling already, because what does it matter? And you can use that feeling to actually help turn things around for you. You just have to get rid of the melancholy associated with it. Because not giving a damn can actually mimic confidence. Should I go approach this girl? Well, things don't matter anyway, so I might as well. That kind of thing. As long as you're not using it as an excuse not to. You need to always be taking action. If you want to turn your life around, you need to take action. Massive action. And I know this has been one of your sticking points, is actually taking action. But to your credit, you did send in this video, which is a good first step in taking action. I'm sure you probably did it with an attitude of, well, what the hell, I may as well just see what he says. And that's fine, as long as you're taking action. I know in the past I have given the example of George Costanza doing the opposite in Seinfeld as a last resort when everything else fails, to just do the opposite. But in your case, I would be more like Jim Carrey in Yes Man, where he couldn't say no to anything. which forced him to take action. Anytime where you're going to say no to something to avoid discomfort or the fear of what may happen, you need to say yes to. The only thing you need to be afraid of is not taking action because you haven't done so for so long. In your particular case, not taking action should scare the living hell out of you. Now, out of everything that I've said so far, you should pay attention to this the most, because that's what's come to me from my subconscious. I had an image of Jim Carrey in that movie pop into my head. The idea here is to get you moving whether you feel like it or not, and we both know that you're not going to feel like it. That's what inertia is. Objects at rest tend to stay at rest, and objects in motion tend to stay in motion.
I had thought to myself, okay, as a child, I sort of liked video games, even though I don't play them anymore. It just feels like escapist nonsense to me. So I started learning a little bit, and a week later, I'm making this little ball jump around, and I thought to myself, what the hell am I doing? What am I doing? What do I hope to gain out of this? What do I hope in the journey? Maybe make games to put on mobile devices and make money off of that. Oh, is this what I want? I don't know. So I gave up, and then I thought maybe I should get into programming. Maybe I could get a nice fancy job that pays a lot of money. But was that what I'm looking for? I don't know. Didn't even try anything. Do I want to work for somebody else necessarily, put in all this effort for just another job? So my mind just won't cooperate. There's probably something stuck deep inside there, but I just can't get the information out, if it's even there at all. I am notoriously paralyzed by indecision, and always trying to find the pros and the cons and the best this and that, so that I end up making no decision. And so that's the thing. What do I do?
And there it is, the root of the majority of your problems. The inability to make a decision and the inability to actually stick with something to the end, to finish what you start. And we're going to end up taking a look at this in your chart.
I realize at the end of the day, only I can decide, only I can know. But when seemingly nothing makes sense, and there's seemingly nothing really tugging me in any direction, if you will, what do? Feel like I'm quickly going down the road of another statistics where you read about these suicide rates of people, which I totally understand. This feeling of absolute uselessness, pointlessness in life. So I hope I don't get there, so I guess that's why I'm sending in this YouTube video to a YouTube magician.
I started working on this video on Tuesday, and on Wednesday we had gotten word that my girlfriend's best friend that she grew up with, her son, 30 years old, had committed suicide. As I said, this can happen to anyone. This was a guy who
Do you have the time to listen to me whine about nothing and everything all at once? I am one of those melodramatic fools, neurotic to the bone, no doubt about it. Sometimes I give myself the creeps. Sometimes my mind plays tricks on me. It all keeps adding up. I think I'm cracking up. Am I just paranoid? Am I just up? I went to a shrink to analyze my dreams. She says it's like a sex that's bringing me down. I went to a whore. He said my life's a bore. So quit my wedding 'cause it's bringing her down. Sometimes I give myself the creeps. Sometimes my mind plays tricks on me. It all keeps adding up. I think I'm cracking up. Am I just paranoid? Grasping to control, so I better hold on. Sometimes I give myself the creeps. Sometimes my mind plays tricks on me. It all keeps adding up. I think I'm cracking up. Am I just paranoid? Am I just
Ukraine. We moved here when I was about 8. You know, did the whole growing up thing like every other kid. Yeah, guaranteed I got more into video games, got fat and all that, but went to college. Didn't really care much. I got a bachelor's in computer science under this little naivety, maybe a little childhood fantasy. I wouldn't even say fantasy. Oh, maybe I'll make video games, but didn't really care. I graduated, and I thought to myself, well, I don't really know what I want to do. Well, I use the library, so I thought, well, how about a job in the library? Oh, it seems like you don't have to deal with people, whatever, so I got a job in the library, and that's where I've been for essentially the past 9.5 years, and I've moved up in some positions there, but ultimately, I feel nothing but pure apathy anymore.
Well, at least you feel that you have a purpose waiting for you out there somewhere, which is good. Sometimes our purpose finds us instead of the other way around. As I said, I had to go through that dark place myself in order to find mine. Or I should say, it found me. But for now, until you find it or it finds you, you may have to make finding your purpose, as hokey and cliche as that may sound. And you said you've experienced this anxiety around age 21, which is about the time of your Saturn square. See, Saturn takes that 28 years to get all the way around the chart, and so every 7 years it's going to be aspecting your natal Saturn position and bring these feelings of responsibility to you. So that's of no surprise to me. You've also been experiencing it again, even stronger as of late. And at age 35 to 37, you're going to feel it again. And if you don't have a handle on it by 42 through 44, you think this one's bad, wait till you have transit Saturn opposed to your natal Saturn and transit Uranus opposed to your natal Uranus at the same time. The infamous midlife crisis. You're going to need to start sowing your seeds now.
There is no interest. I got benefits, pay is okay, but ultimately, I just don't really care. And I'm not sure what I'm looking for. Is it another job? Is it a cause? Is it something? Maybe you've already sensed that I am definitely a polarized person, and that is part of my personality. There are certain viewpoints and beliefs and political views, if you all that I have that are important to me. They didn't come overnight. They were discovered over a number of years, and that's who I am, a polarized person, and that is part of my personality. There are certain viewpoints and beliefs and political views, if you will, that I have that are important to me. They didn't come overnight. They were discovered over a number of years, and that's who I am and what I believe in. So it is not possible for me to just be in the middle and not get bothered by anything. So I thought I would just say that. So,
Well, George, it comes down to how badly do you want things to change? Because everybody's polarized in different areas to certain degrees. That's normal, but people need to examine which polarizing beliefs are helping them and which are hindering them. Because a lot of times it comes down to the beliefs that we hold.
to just be in the middle and not get bothered by anything. So I thought I would just say that. So,
Well, George, it comes down to how badly do you want things to change? Because everybody's polarized in different areas to certain degrees. That's normal, but people need to examine which polarizing beliefs are helping them and which are hindering them. Because a lot of times it comes down to the beliefs that we hold in our mind that end up holding us back. They're not serving us. Depolarization is very, very similar to the dark place that you're in right now, in the sense that you can have it one way or the other, so it doesn't really matter. Nothing really matters. It's just without all the feelings of hopeless despair and uselessness that come along with that. You could take things or leave them, and it won't really matter. You're better equipped to handle things when they go wrong. That's what depolarization is like. Things just kind of roll off your back. Because a lot of things don't really matter. You see people on Facebook arguing politics like the most polarized thing you can talk about. In the end, they just wasted their time, as if, the person's just going to suddenly change their mind on their entire political stance from a Facebook post. A lot of polarization is just a bunch of wasted time, in my opinion. It's really a tightrope walk. It's a fine balance. On one hand, I'm hopeful. I feel things have meaning. But in the end, does it really matter? When nobody gets out of this life alive, we're all going to the same place. We all have the same end. So, if that's the case, it's not really about the destination. It really is about the journey. And if you're too polarized, the journey's going to suck. You talk like you are, purposely avoiding people, being around others. When you're depolarized, those people don't really have that much of an effect on you. But when you're polarized, they can absolutely have an impact on you through magnetism, through polarized magnetism, attraction, repulsion, like, dislike. This YouTube video has a like and a dislike button.
So high status people are able to connect with others for two main reasons. First of all, they have an inherent...
The only way to handle danger is to face it.
Those people don't really have that much of an effect on you. But when you're polarized, they can absolutely have an impact on you through magnetism, through polarized magnetism, attraction, repulsion, like, dislike. This YouTube video has a like and a dislike button. That is to cater to people's polarization. So you're not interested either in depolarizing yourself. Again, it would make things easier for you, but you kind of already have that feeling already, because what does it matter? And you can use that feeling to actually help turn things around for you. You just have to get rid of the melancholy associated with it, because not giving a damn can actually mimic confidence. Should I go approach this girl? Well, things don't matter anyway, so I might as well. That kind of thing. As long as you're not using it as an excuse not to. You need to always be taking action. If you want to turn your life around, you need to take action. Massive action. And I know this has been one of your sticking points, is actually taking action. But to your credit, you did send in this video, which is a good first step in taking action. I'm sure you probably did it with an attitude of, well, what the hell, I may as well just see what he says. And that's fine, you know, as long as you're taking action. I know in the past I have given the example of George Costanza doing the opposite in Seinfeld as a last resort when everything else fails, to just do the opposite. But in your case, I would be more like Jim Carrey in Yes Man, where he couldn't say no to anything, which forced him to take action. Anytime where you're going to say no to something to avoid discomfort or the fear of what may happen, you need to say yes to. The only thing you need to be afraid of is not taking action, because you haven't done so for so long. In your particular case, not taking action should scare the living hell out of you. Now, out of everything that I've said so far, you should pay attention to this the most, because that's what's come to me from my subconscious. I had an image of Jim Carrey in that movie pop into my head. The idea here is to get you moving, whether you feel like it or not, and we both know that you're not going to feel like it. That's what inertia is. Objects at rest tend to stay at rest, and objects in motion tend to stay in motion.
I had thought to myself, okay, you know, as a child, you know, I sort of liked video games, even though I don't play them anymore. It just feels like escapist nonsense to me. So I started learning a little bit, and a week later, I'm making this little ball jump around, and I thought to myself, what the hell am I doing? What am I doing? What do I hope to gain out of this? What do I hope in the journey? You know, oh, maybe make games to put on mobile devices and make money off of that. Oh, is this what I want? I don't know. So I gave up, and then I thought maybe I should get into programming. Maybe I could get a nice fancy job that pays a lot of money. But was that what I'm looking for? I don't know. Didn't even try anything. Do I want to work for somebody else necessarily, put in all this effort for just another job? So my mind just won't cooperate. There's probably something stuck deep inside there, but I just can't get the information out, if it's even there at all. I am notoriously paralyzed by indecision, and always trying to find the pros and the cons and the best this and that, so that I end up making no decision. And so that's the thing. What do I do?
And there it is. the root of the majority of your problems. The inability to make a decision and the inability to actually stick with something to the end, to finish what you start. And we're going to end up taking a look at this in your chart.
I realize at the end of the day, only I can decide, only I can know. But when seemingly nothing makes sense, and there's seemingly nothing really tugging me in any direction, if you will, what do? Feel like I'm quickly going down the road of another statistics where you read about these suicide rates of people, which I totally understand. This feeling of absolute uselessness, pointlessness in life. So I hope I don't get there, so I guess that's why I'm sending in this YouTube video to a YouTube magician.
You know, I started working on this video on Tuesday, and on Wednesday we had gotten word that my girlfriend's best friend that she grew up with, her son, 30 years old, had committed suicide. As I said, this can happen to anyone. This was a guy who had seemingly everything going for him, and a very strong guy at that too, Marine. It's very, very difficult to get out of that dark place. But those who do often find themselves in a position to help be the guiding light for others who are still in there. I started this channel to teach people about magic and the occult, the importance of mindset, etc. And I often get messages telling me how much I've helped them regain their hope, regain their purpose, got them out of a dark place, helped them through the difficult time in their life. And that's really not what I set out to do, although it's given me the most fulfilling rewards by doing so. And I suspect that when you come through this, you're going to find yourself in a similar
Don't make me listen to the stupid broken record again. The needle skipping and repeating, never reaching the end. You know you're bitching and complaining like you got it so tough. We're sick of all your crying, will you ever shut up? So keep bleeding your fake blood till no one even sees that. If that's the best you can make up, at least act like you mean it. Give up the grudge, better shut your mouth. Why you gotta judge everybody but yourself? Take a look around you, there ain't nobody home. I may be a loser, but at least I'm not alone. Your Mercedes won't start, yeah, that's a crying shame. I guess 90K a year buys nothing but complaints. The people in my neighborhood think that I'm a threat. While the boss gets richer, they get deeper in debt. So keep bleeding your fake blood till no one even sees that. If that's the best you can make up, at least act like you mean it. Give up the grudge, better shut your mouth. Why you gotta judge everybody but yourself? Take a look around you, there ain't nobody home. I may be a loser, but at least I'm not alone. Give up the grudge, you better shut your mouth. Why you gotta judge everybody but yourself? Take a look around you, there ain't nobody home. I may be a loser, but at least I'm not alone. Give up the grudge, you better shut your mouth. Why you gotta judge everybody but yourself? Take a look around you, there ain't nobody home. I may be a loser, but at least I'm not alone. Give up the grudge, The representative from California has the floor. Sing out to the president, gas man. Pumped away is your punishment. Pulverize the Eiffel Towers. They'll criticize your government. Bang, bang goes a broken glass and kill all the that don't agree. Trials by fire, setting fires. Is that a way that's meant for me? Just cause, because we're all dead. I beg to dream and different from the hollowed eyes. This is the dawning of the rest of our lives. I beg to dream and differ from the hollowed eyes. This is the dawning of the rest of our lives. This is our lives on holiday.
I'm so happy, cause today found my friends are in my head. I'm so ugly, that's okay, cause so are you. Book on mirrors, Sunday morning is every day for all I care. And I'm not scared, light my candles in our days, cause I found God. I'm so lonely, that's okay, shake my head, and I'm not sad, and just maybe I'm to blame for all I've heard, and I'm not sure, I'm so excited, I can't wait to meet you there, and I don't care, I'm so horny, that's okay, my will is good. I'm so happy, cause today I found my friends in my head. I'm so ugly, that's okay, cause so are you. Broke arm ears, Sunday morning is every day for all I care. And I'm not scared, light my candles in our days,
I live in a cemetery. I need a change, not to imitate, to irritate. I live in a cemetery. I need a change, not to imitate, to irritate. I live in a cemetery. I need a change, not to imitate, to irritate. I live in a cemetery. I need a change, not to imitate, to irritate. I live in a cemetery. I need a change, not to imitate, to irritate. I live in a cemetery.
There's no money, there's no possessions, only obsession. I don't need that. Take my money, take my obsession.